Hello and welcome back to my channel, Shadow of the Sphinx. Today I wanted to do another book review. This is a book, Egyptian Art, Rosemary and Raina Hagen. It's published by Taschen, who publish an awful lot of art books. I purchased this book at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. I was taken there for the day for Mother's Day, which was a lovely day out. They have quite a good Egyptian exhibition. There are photos on my Instagram page. There'll be a link in this video at the bottom of the video for my Instagram page. And Egyptian art really just fascinates me. It's one aspect of ancient Egypt that I'm really interested in. This book I like because it is straightforward. There are a lot of books that I find the way the books are laid out can be not complicated, but overdone sometimes. This is very straightforward. It gives you clear information and very good, clear photographs as well. When you're looking at art, you want to be able to see everything clearly and well defined. And it's interesting, as you see on the cover here, to see all the little details, like in this, there's lapis. I'm not sure quite, I think this is just blue faience, the gold. I mean, obviously there's bits and pieces, but you can see the tiny little details, which I really like. So when it comes to art books, I always want really clear, defined photos in it. So as I say, Taschen, the publisher, they do a lot of art books of all different types of art. They also, I think they do postcards, books of postcards of different artists, but it's all to do with art. They're good publishers. If there's an artist you're interested in, you're bound to find that Taschen have made a book on them or that particular style of artwork. Okay, so to the book. I thought I'd do a bit of a review. I find it quite helpful to think about books and do reviews on books for my own benefit as much as anybody else's. And if this book interests you, then certainly you would be able to get it through Taschen. You would be able to get it through the Ashmolean Museum, and I suspect this is probably available on all the usual websites that you can find books on, or certainly you might be able to pick it up secondhand as well. So to start with, we can open up the book. Egyptian Art. Rosemary and Raina Hagen, I don't know these authors. I don't know whether they're linked to they're Egyptologists or whether they're involved in the history of art. I don't know, but they are the ones that have written this book. So we start off with, as you see, this lovely clear picture with all the gold. I mean, it's just stunning. So what do we have on here? A lot of these images are of objects and artifacts that are very well known within ancient Egypt and Egyptology and beyond, and people would have seen them. So they have focused on a lot of the images of the different artifacts that they're using and artwork are already very well known publicly, but they've obviously gone a little bit deeper into the art side of things and the history. So we have a contents page. It takes you through, there's an introductory sort of chapter, the imagery of the Pharaoh's kingdom, and then it takes you through the different kingdoms, the old kingdoms, middle kingdom, new kingdom, the different dynasties, all the way through to the Roman period. So it's quite comprehensive in that respect. At the back, which I'll show you, there's a chronology of ancient Egypt, which I think is always helpful for people to be able to put some context into the period of time that is being talked about. So we have this introductory chapter. This is a copy from a painting. What I like about this book, once we get past the introductory chapter here, the Sphinx, my namesake, more introduction about art, about technique, about proportions, about the imagery, subject matter. A lot has gone into this to provide all that information. How they've created these images, pigments, paints, etc. This is all sort of in here, which I find really helpful and really interesting. It's quite a lengthy introductory chapter, but it goes into quite a lot of detail about people that would have been involved in creating the artwork as well. The type that, you know, did they do specific work? Like, for example, grave workers, they are portrayed here. They would be involved with painting the fantastic tombs that we see. So there's quite a lot here that would really set you up and give you that sort of introductory knowledge. And it goes through the different kingdoms. For those that don't know, ancient Egypt is divided into different kingdoms, Old, Middle and New, and there's different dynasties within that. Here's a very famous image. This is part of King Tutankhamun's tomb, what was seen. It was originally black and white photos. I believe a lot of people have had, a lot of images have been colorized. I don't really know much about that technique, so I can't comment on that, but I know a lot of historical photos nowadays get colorized. So it gives you a bit of history. So what I like here, so we're starting here, the Old Kingdom, Third Dynasty. And what I like about this book is you have an image, the image on one side, and then the writing on the other side about this image, about the background, about the history of the time, background and history of the statue, as an example here, telling you about each item or image. And if we go through the book, I'll do a few more. Again, image and then writing. And I really like that. I mean, here the image is along the bottom because it's like a relief that was on a tomb wall. But here we have a statue, the seated scribe. We have this, and sometimes other relevant smaller images, but this is really good because you can see it's a good, clear, detailed photo. So if you are interested in particular aspects, you can see all that detail. And I like this a lot about this book. This is one of the things I really like. I'm just going to go through and flick through to give you some idea. You can see, I mean, where they've taken this photo here of this Sphinx, you can see the details of the stone where it's been carved and chiseled away. I think these are called striations. I'm not quite sure. I really think that is good. Here, obviously, this is not a statue. This is obviously carved into the wall within a tomb. This is actually from the sarcophagus of Queen Hatshepsut. There's a small image of her here. She used to wear a beard and call herself Pharaoh. That's a whole nother story. But it gives you details, which sometimes you don't always see on TV shows and you don't always see in other images in other books. So I'm just going to do a few more and go through. Here we have a statue of Sekhmet, stonework. Details to the saint, you can sort of see where the chisel marks are, where whoever created this, the care that they took. And it's clear. This is a very clear, good picture of this bust, Queen Tai. I mean, it's just incredible. And you can see, when you go to museums, a lot of artifacts you can see, but you can't get up close to really look at the detail. And I feel these photos give you that opportunity without actually being face to face with the items. I think this is what you want from an art book. You want to be able to see things. You want to be able to look at the detail. You want to see almost, it's a bit like seeing the paint strokes if it was a painting. So there's a very famous artifact here, the bust of Queen Nefertiti. You can see very clearly, but it's good. It gives even down here, so you can see the details of what would be her neck piece here and her necklace. Of course, another famous image. And you can go and see these items, but it's hard sometimes, particularly because a lot of these items, there'll always be plenty of people there. It's hard to get up close to the display cabinets, but this gives you that opportunity. For example, you can see the detail in this necklace of Tutankhamun. It's incredible. And then, as I say, you have all this information, and it gives you historical information, as well as information about the item as well. So it helps to put things into context, which I think is always helpful when it comes to whatever art you are looking at. As I say, these images are of items and artwork that have already been very well documented and photographed and well known. So they have picked out a lot of the most popular and most well known subject matter. But they have given some information, which is not too much to read. It gives you quite a concise history of the item and of the time, and about, this is a photograph of a piece of a scroll. So here it tells you, talks about scrolls, what they are made of, their purpose. This is actually from Books of the Dead, this part of the scroll here. So it gives you some idea of a bit more depth about what's going on. And this is very much a book. I don't think this is a book that you would pick up and read from cover to cover. I think you would flick through this book and look at different items and artifacts and read about that. And what I think as well with these sort of books is a good point, if you are particularly interested in a specific item, it's a good starting point where you could then go on to do further research, your own research into finding out more about that specific item or that specific period in that ancient Egyptian history, or perhaps about that specific pharaoh or person. So this is a good starting point for that. You might find that, you know, you're looking at carvings on the side of a sarcophagus and you want to find out more about that, and you can go and find out more about that particular person, their sarcophagus, their tomb, or that particular style of carving, and learn more. And I think also it's a good way, because so much, particularly with the work that is in the tombs and on the sarcophaguses and in the temples, if you want to start learning about hieroglyphics as well, a brilliant way to start. This is the Eye of Horus. It's on the front cover. We're right towards the end, as you can see. And then what do you have? This is the Roman period. This is very different to a lot of other ancient Egyptian art. So this is like an actual proper sort of portrait, I guess, really, that we would be familiar with even today. And certainly people would have been familiar with over the last few hundred years. And then what we have here is a chronology of ancient Egypt. We have a map, because obviously within the writing that's in the book, there's different place names. Abu Simbel, Aswan, Saqqara, Giza, Cairo, Alexander, all well known within ancient Egypt, Karnak, Luxor or Thebes. And here is a chronology, the period. So you can start to get an idea of when these items were being created, this artwork was being created. And it talks about various relevant pharaohs and what they were building and how long they last. It's a very short summary, but it gives you a context, which I always think is helpful within art. And at the back here, photo credits, a little bit of information about the authors. And Taschen apparently plants seeds for every book that is sold. This print of this book, it originally was printed in 2007. This print is rerun is, looks like it's 2022. So it's a few years old, but it goes back, it was originally printed in 2007. So I think you would definitely be able to get secondhand copies of this if you didn't want to buy it brand new. I'm afraid I can't tell you how much it cost, because I didn't actually buy it. It was a gift for Mother's Day from my son. But I think you would be able to find this secondhand, certainly. So I hope that is helpful for people. I hope that's helpful as a potential suggestion if you're interested in ancient Egypt and particularly ancient Egyptian art. This might be a book as a good starting off point. I certainly see it as a starting off point for me, because this is an aspect of Egyptology and ancient Egypt that I'm interested in particularly. So it's a good reference book. It's clear, concise, well, good photos, and it would be a good opportunity it would provide an opportunity as a leaping off point into further sort of research into Egyptian art. So I hope you found that helpful. If you've watched this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I will continue to do book reviews as and when I am able to read a book and go through it and formulate what I think about it, as well as anything else relating to ancient Egypt as we go along, as I go along. And as I say, you can come along with me as I learn more and more about ancient Egypt. Thank you.